So first, we're going to work on thinking about how lessons can help you with delivering your content to students. So when you use the lessons tool, it creates menu items in the left-hand side. And this allows you, once you have menu items, to go in there and organize by week, organize by topic, whatever makes sense for you, and have a long list or short list of the things that are due that day. And that includes readings, forums, tests, looking at videos. All of it will be on one page. There's a lot of also interactive tools that are available within lessons, like asking a poll, asking students to add comments about a particular item. And you can really customize what's happening. In the long run, the reason you want to create lessons pages is to hide all of the other pages so students are streamlined to coming to that page and figure out what's happening in the course instead of hunting and pecking through the places where things could be. So I'm going to take us first to an example site. So this one is very full of content. So if you get overwhelmed, I'm sorry about that. This was set up for a fellowship we did with Duke Kunshan instructors, showing them how to design courses. And on the left-hand side, anywhere where you see this kind of piece of paper, these are all lessons pages. So they can be renamed to be whatever you want on the left-hand side. We had a welcome page telling them about why they're here. This has some information like the program goals, how to navigate the site, where you're going, those sorts of things. And then you could do weeks or modules. They did modules because they had a big assignment in between each of those things. It was a 4-month course. So when we go into one of the modules, I'm going into module 2 here. They've created subpages for every week. If you just had 1 week, you could break it up by readings, homework, whatever it might be. I'll just dig into one of these. So they've added titles in order to indicate what the students are doing. They have titles based on some content. They have things like short answer poll. There's readings, there's more readings, the work they need to do, hyperlinks to the people they're working with. You get the idea. There's a discussion area. There's a link straight to a forum that they have to do for that week.
Elise, quick
Yeah.
question. So is this assuming that this class is asynchronous?
This one is completely asynchronous. So it was
Okay.
really important to have, well, not completely, but to have all their homework parts were asynchronous. We had 1 Zoom meeting a week at certain points to discuss all of this, but
Okay.
definitely content heavy in that sense.
Okay.
So here you can see this is a very media rich page. Lessons makes it very easy to embed videos, YouTube videos, or anything else you own. They have a poll here, more video to watch. You can put PDFs directly in line so you don't have to click on links to get to it, although you can make a hyperlink to your resources. So you get a sense of how rich it can be. Doesn't need to be this complicated, but it is possible. And then these are just hyperlinks to PDFs and a discussion board again. So one of the most important things to do before you start building lessons, oh, we have someone in the waiting room, hold on. We'll say hi to her. Hi, Erica, welcome. We're diving into lessons pages, an example right now.
Perfect. Thanks. Sorry for my tardiness. I had another meeting run long.
That's okay, things happen. We're a small group, so if you're wondering what in the world we talked about earlier, you can ask us later. How's that?
Okay, perfect.
This is just an example of a site that's very rich in the things that happen with lessons. Just give you an idea of the power of it. We're going to turn now to a less overwhelming one. So I'm going to walk us through a workshop site that's a lot easier, and we're going to look at how I can build lessons. If you want to be added to it so you can gunk it up and play with it later or even now, Heather can do that for you, or I can do that for you. You can just put it in the chat, your net ID. At the end of the session, we're going to send you the slide deck, and there's a whole bunch of hyperlinks that show you all the things I'm going to do today in case you forget it, can't find it, whatever it might be. So I'm going to return and go to our sample site. So here we are, it's our lesson site. Welcome to lessons. I have a beautiful thing here. I put an announcement, you will learn lessons. So far, I only have one lessons page. That's my welcome page. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. So here I've added some introductory text. We're Elise and Heather. We love unicorns. I've decided that this needs to be a little prettier, more exciting. So that was the edit button. When you open up, you have your standard editor box. If you've used the Sakai editor tool, it's the image button to get an image in. I'm going to go ahead and look for it. As you might know, you want everything in Sakai if humanly possible before making things pretty. Oh, Lee has her hand up.
So in thinking about this for an in-person class, would you recommend one lesson per week? So historically, what I've done is copied all the syllabus text and then had the calendar for the syllabus in that syllabus text, so students could click on that and they could click on the hyperlinks in the syllabus to the things that they needed to read or watch.
Right. So
would
if you have
recommend just uploading a syllabus as a file and then putting everything in lessons?
Yeah, I would have the syllabus available somewhere as a backup plan, but I would divide, depending on how much work you have in a given week, I would have, what's that?
It's not huge, but they're readings they have to do and stuff like that, and things they have to prepare.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get to Heather's template that's based on weeks, and that might make it easier for you.
Okay.
One of the reasons that having the lessons there is it's harder to navigate through a syllabus. I don't know if you have a big box of stuff or what it looks like. It's easier to just go in your Sakai site and click on week 2 and see everything. I see. Yes. So yeah, I think lessons could help. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't put the syllabus in there as well, because there's other important things on the syllabus. You can also make an interactive syllabus within lessons if you wanted to, but that's kind of redundant. So I'm going to be looking through the server. First, I'm going to put in some alternate text, go into my Sakai server. It's going to be cranky while it opens my 90,000 courses. And everyone is using Sakai at this moment. Yeah, if you notice today that nothing is working or is super slow, that's because we're all trying to open things at the same time. Hello. Okay. I'm going into my resources folder. I've been smart enough to organize it. Oh, and lose the document. There we go. I've actually even put file names that make sense. Instead of the usual screenshot, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to resize this so it's not enormous. Hit it OK. And somehow I've put it in the wrong place. All right, so now I have an image to jazz up this page. Lee, another question?
Oh. Nope, I'll lower my hand.
Oh, yes, lowering it. So I want to really put some emphasis on what this box is, right? Like, why is this here? Up here in the, no, I lied, yeah, in the right, on the left-hand corner, I could add a title. I can also put in a color if I'm feeling really fancy, but I'm not. So now I have a section called About Us. Now, so I'm on the welcome page. I'm thinking about what would be the other things that really matter when it comes to that welcome page. I think I'm going to have to put a link to the syllabus. In order to add content to a lessons page, it's all right here. It's a long list of stuff. I'll just talk about in general what they are. Text blocks are the most used. Remember I said you could put a video or a PDF right on the page, web links, add subpages for weeks. You get the idea. This second box or section are links to anything else you built in Sakai. So you have a test for that week. You have a forum for that week. You want an announcement, whatever it might be. You can insert it here on the weekly thing so that I don't have to say, now go to the forum to introduce yourself. I just put it on this page. And then this last chunk are the ones that are interactive, like comment on the picture of the unicorn, add a checklist of all the things you need to do for week 1, those sorts of things. For now, I'm just going to add another text box. Oops, I'm going to make a hyperlink to the syllabus. I'm again going to browse server and hope it opens faster. Ooh, it did. There's my syllabus. You get the idea.
Can I ask a quick question about that adding content? You had mentioned checklists.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to say our content was a video,
Mm-hmm.
and I had added a checklist and used it as like an attestation that the video had been viewed?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to make a checklist conditional on, say, the video has to have played before this checklist appears or something like that?
Yes. So I'll go ahead and ask a checklist just to show it. Did you watch this? Yep. We're going to save it. No, I'm not gonna put a video in right here.
Sure,
I'm just
sure.
gonna show you on our syllabus how we would do that. Actually, I'm gonna start here. Not appearance. Nope, I don't want to do it here. I want to do it here. See how it says don't really release item until all prereqs are completed?
Uh-huh.
But it didn't have it for checklist. We may have to put a quiz in for that. Because when I opened the checklist, I didn't see that that was there. We'll have to play with it more.
Okay,
Getting lost right now.
that's fine. I don't want to.
So what we've done now is made them watch the video here. And then once they do that, they'd be able to open our syllabus. This we may need to change into a short quiz and then have the prereq of the video above. Make this have a prereq. Let me look at this one more time to see if I missed it. Yeah, checklist isn't going to do what we want.
Okay,
Yeah, I think checklist is purely for like a person checking for themselves that they did something, but it doesn't have the integration with other
Right.
parts of the
But
tool.
you, right, but you can see who checked it.
yeah,
Mhm.
So you could do that.
yeah, that's what we did, but then it was a manual check
Right.
instead of it being integrated into the grade book. So, okay, so, but not a checklist.
So I would put a 1-question quiz in there instead.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no problem. So now I'm gonna come back because now I want week 1 here. I only have welcome and I want to add some more lessons pages. And you guys have probably seen this, but I just want to make sure you feel comfortable with it. It's always manage tools. Find your lessons button. I'm going to take a stop over here on the right-hand side. Enable lesson subpage navigation. Lets you collapse and open the lessons on the left-hand side. For this one, I want my new lesson to be not nested under welcome. I want it to appear on the left-hand side all by itself. I'm gonna uncheck that one. I'm gonna move all the way down. I'm gonna name this week 1. While I'm here, I could add all of my lessons pages at once. I'm not gonna because I'm lazy. I'm gonna finish. Oh crap, week 1 is at the bottom. I need to use tool order to drag and drop it to under, no, to drag. There we go. Not site info. I can grab the right one. I really can. There we go. All right, so now I have week 1 here. I might add subpages by day if I have a lot of content, or I could just put all my content on that week 1 lesson, depending on what I'd like. I have no idea if 8/26 is a Monday. I don't think so. I have the ability here to make it a next page or either show as a button rather than a link. And you can see when I come back in the navigation to week 1, it's a button. And now I can add my content in here, just like any other one. If I have multiple subpages and I need to reorder, I can do that. If it was a drag drop, that's how you do that. So those are the basics. There's a bunch of kind of, what do I want to say? Advanced tools that can go in there, like Play Pause It, which is a video tool where you can insert questions within a video to get immediate information from there. There's also Zoom meetings, you're not going to put up there. Panopto, if you want to feed in videos that you've made. Labster, I don't know if anyone is teaching science. You get the idea. Course reserves can go in there. So you can play around and get super fancy if you want to. I don't really want to. Now, the last thing we want to look at is when you can see it. And here you can see require this page. You can hide it until you're ready. You can have a gradebook item for an entire page. Those sorts of things. So again, getting fancier than anyone probably needs.
If you checked that add gradebook item for the page,
Yeah.
what would it mean to be complete? Would you have to have, what would you have to have on the page to signify the page is complete.
Right, well, you'd have to do prereqs to get through the individual items. It won't make a pretty list of everything they touched.
Okay,
You're more likely to put a gradebook item on one of the individual blocks on a page.
gotcha. Okay,
But you could scan through and see, oh, I see they've done the most important things, and I don't feel like grading those individually. So I'm gonna put it in there. All right, do you guys have questions about the sorts of things that you see in here? You may have already done things like add a forum topic directly in here. Other things that you may or may not have noticed, I
Can you
already
show
showed, go ahead.
Can you show me how to link back to the syllabus? Or to link back to a document in Sakai? One
Yeah,
more.
sure. So you would add text. Highlight, find your link button. If you had an outside URL, you can type it here. If not, you're going to browse server, which is taking you into the resources folder within the Sakai site.
I get it, okay.
Yep. If for some reason you totally forgot to upload it to resources, you can open the resource folder and see this icon that looks like a save button. Don't know why. It's actually upload file.
Okay, okay,
So I can get something from my desktop and bring it in there.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. And now I have a hyperlink. Or if I have a PDF I want to put in the page, that's embed content. And I can go to existing files, or I can put in a direct URL to an outside video. All right, I think I'll let, sorry. I'll let Hannah take over and she can talk about the template tool and how that works.
You totally just called me Hannah.
I did. How about Heather?
That's me.
It's because of your last name. Hannah,
That's fair.
sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so now that we know more about lessons, we're going to talk more about setting up your site in an organized way using templates. First off, in terms of why you would want to use templates, we designed it last year to help incorporate best practices of student-centered course site design. So it is well organized and has kind of a clear structure for your course site. And it makes it easier for you to kind of have an organized site and share practical information within it. One advantage is also that it's completely customizable. So even though you start with a certain structure, you can still change it as you'd like. And we'll talk a bit more about how to do that later on. In terms of what is a template, it's a selection of tools and or lesson pages. In fact, if you've ever made a Sakai site, you've used templates before, you probably just went with the default. So we kind of took a look at what tools to include that were most commonly used. And so we made some different templates, including a minimal one and an advanced one. And so today we're going to talk more about the advanced template. This is probably the most useful one in terms of having a great structure for your course. So actually, I guess I could show Elise, do you mind if I share so I can show?
Oh, yeah, get out.
First, I'll show how to create the course site, and then we can go into what the advanced template looks like. All right, so I'll want to go to Sakai and go to worksite setup. and then create new site. And I know many of you have done this before, so you want to select course site and the term. And then, so, you know, we have this default course template, so most likely that's what you've used in the past. But the one we're going to use today is the advanced course template. And you will see some others for different specific schools that kind of have different branding. So there are, you know, in some cases, or also for DKU, they have their own templates. So typically you would select that and then go in and do your usual select subject and all. Since I don't actually need a site today, I'll skip that. So some of the, let me go ahead and go to the advanced template. And a bunch of sites. So here we are with the advanced template. It includes sort of an overall organization of lesson pages. So first you have a getting started page, and then you have a top level weeks page that then does a drop down menu of sub pages for each week. We went with 16 just because sometimes you may want to have either the final or something like that in the last week, but we didn't want to call it final just in case people didn't want it. So this is like a nice structure that you can customize. You can rename these. So if you prefer to say class 1 or unit 1, certainly we've used these in different ways over the years. Most people do tend to do a weekly format, but like in some cases you may want to have a certain, you know, unit structure that varies and isn't confined to 1 week, like say it's a unit per 2 weeks or something like that. We also selected some of the most popular tools that we thought people would use. Because this is an example site, we just wrote hidden next to these because they would normally be hidden when you create a site with the advanced template. That just means that students won't be able to see them, but you can toggle that on and off as you like. Also, let me go ahead and link you to this site because you can join it as a student if you'd like to take a look at it later. So I'm putting that in the chat. We also included some of the most common tools, so assignments, tests, and quizzes, gradebook resources, Zoom, calendar, and such, as well as WarpWire if you wanted to use that for uploading media. We also included kind of some filler text for all of these. So for example, on this overview page, you could update kind of with your instructor name and email address, as well as a short course description. On the getting started page, this is, you know, purely a suggestion that you could have some sort of instructions about, you know, how students can start getting familiar with the course and kind of some of the tools that they need to look at. And again, that's completely customizable, as Elise was showing earlier with editing. We also left a space for you to add your syllabus. These 2 links go to the 2 steps that you'll need to do that. First, putting it in resources, the document in resources, and then how to link to it on this page. One other option would be to copy and paste your syllabus into this page, or you could also create a separate page for this. So I was going to talk a little bit about how to customize this if you don't want to do exactly what we have here. So some of the most important things for that, we can start in site info. For example, tool order is really important. This allows you to move things around. You can edit what it's called for any of these. So, you know, I don't think I would want to change the calendar, but for example, if I didn't, oh, now it's angry at me. If I didn't want to call it getting started, I could change it to welcome. And make sure you select the little green check, otherwise it doesn't actually change it. I could also change the order, so I could move this up. There's more than one way to remove tools, but you could easily remove tools here. So for example, if I didn't want the calendar, I could say delete this tool. If the calendar isn't ready yet, one of the most important things is that I could make the tool invisible to students. So that's a really important one. And you can also lock access to the tool. So that could come in handy as you're adjusting these. And to kind of tie back to lessons, weeks is a top level lessons page. And so that can be adjusted here, but then the sub pages we do a little bit differently. So I'm going to show you that next. So for example, if I have these weekly pages and I want to change either their names or their order, I can go to the top level weeks page. And then I can scroll down. And so for example, say I didn't want a week 16, I could just click delete here and it would delete that page. Or if I wanted to change the name of it, I could hit the edit button on it and then say final. One thing that Elise touched on earlier that I think is important is I do think the pages look nicer as a button. So you want to select that shows button rather than link. Also, this is where you could hide the sub pages and so that they're released at a certain time. I'm going to cancel because I'm trying not to ruin this example. Also, you could reorder. So say, for example, you added a page that you actually wanted to have much further up in this list. You can go to reorder up here and move these around as needed. And that can also come in handy in lesson pages as an easy way to kind of move around your blocks of content. So in addition, if you wanted to add new tools, we would also do that in site info under manage tools, which Elise showed earlier. So we can check or uncheck any of these tools that we want to add or remove. In addition, as Elise showed, if you did need more lessons pages, you could select that and then name those pages on the next page. So that would be an easy way to kind of, customize this more to your liking. In addition, we have some filler text for each of these week pages. So you'll see different blocks of content that you can edit or remove. While I would always hope that you would want your learning outcomes, if, for example, if you didn't want those in this version of your site, you could just delete this box and it would go away. Also, just to make changes to it, you would hit the edit button and kind of edit the way Elise was showing us before. You could also link to things and do all that other fun stuff with lessons. In addition, as I mentioned, you can reorder. So you could kind of move these around if you would prefer, for example, the readings came first or something like that. I think that's most of the main things I wanted to show. Are there any other questions about customizing this template or things you'd like to be able to do with this? It's just a really nice starting point that has a bit more in it. And I think the main important part is that it does start you out with a couple lesson pages and like all of these weekly pages, which saves you a lot of time. It also automatically has this nice Duke banner in it, which you can use, and you don't have to worry about linking or editing it because it'll be there automatically. And so then it's pretty easy from there to kind of customize this further to your liking.
So if we've already copied something, how do we fix it?
Do you mean copied a template?
Mm-hmm. Like copied a previous semester. Should we just start?
Okay.
Just create a new site and ask us to delete, or you can hide the site that you're working on now.
And then I can import resources from old.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either from the original one from the other semester or the second one, if you've made changes wherever the newest stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
So that you would just walk through that, create site, and it's when after you choose the advanced template on the next page, it's going to say something like you've already used this roster. And then you say select anyway. And then hide the original one you don't want. Send me the URL. I'll get it so it's deleted. But wait, wait a little bit. You really, really don't need it. Just
in this template, are there any gradebook items already added, like for each week, or is it still just empty?
Empty. We just figured, you know, there's too many different possible things people could want to do.
Yeah.
Erica, you were asking some questions earlier where things didn't work the last time you used lessons. Do you want to talk a little bit about that so we can see if we can find you some solutions?
Yeah, I think last time I had the checklists and then quizzes, but I had not set up a grade book. And I incorrectly assumed that students would be able to see like grades on their quizzes once they completed them. And it turns out that they could not. So it ended up just being a lot of questions about, I think I did it. Did I actually do it? Did I get credit? Am I okay? You know? And like I said, the checklists I had, well, thankfully I had some TAs, but you had to go in and manually just look at the lists. And I have 100 students and 126 students in the 2 courses. So it's a lot of students to keep track of just on a list. So I'm definitely going to be using the grade book, I think, is how I can make everything show up for students. Is that accurate?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
And if you don't feel comfortable about doing all that, you can come to office hours or contact me, or, you know, we'll figure out how to walk you through that.
Just a brief order of operations. Do I create the gradebook items first, or do I create the quizzes first?
So it kind of depends on the tool. When you create a quiz, it's going to ask you, do you want to grade this? You're going to say yes. You're going to put how many points it is. And then there's a check mark for send this to the grade book. Okay. But if you're grading a forum, you have to make the gradebook item first.
Okay.
That said, there's another way you can do it where you create all the gradebook items. You go to a quiz and it'll say create a gradebook item or associate with another one, but you might as well just let it create it so that you don't have to do double the work.
Perfect. Okay.
And then, you know, as you both build, try and get several weeks done now and hide the rest and just be timely instead of trying to do it all at once. As long as the students have an overview of what's coming, don't feel bad if not every lessons page looks amazing by August 24th or whatever we're working with now, whenever school starts, 23rd, soon.
And then I have 2 courses. They're essentially the same format, but one is for my first years and one is for my 4th years. Can I create the first year course in its entirety and then basically duplicate it for my 4th years?
Yep.
Because the dates will all be the same and everything. Okay, perfect.
Is there a reason you can't put them together? If it's all the same content?
It's not all the same content. It's just the same, like, basic. They both meet on Thursdays. They both meet once a week. They both so it'll be a very similar sort of setup, but
right.
I'll have to edit
Get one all set up and then go to worksite setup, create a new site, make the new site, and then it's site info, import from site in order to pull everything over.
Okay, I have a quick question as well.
Yeah, sure.
It's about gradebook, no, not about lessons.
That's fine.
So one of the quizzes that I create, I put it in quizzes and I gave them 15 questions and they had to choose 6 to write on. So historically, I have been manually grading that, calculating a grade and then putting it into the exam grade myself. Is there a way to automate that without just giving them the 6 questions?
You know.
Is there a way to automate choice?
So only if you put in a long list of all the things and then have like 3 different boxes, like 6 different boxes where they write the things. Does that make any sense? There's no lovely like, here's 6, here's.
I
however
see what you're
many
saying.
choices.
So if I had just 6 boxes and I had
Right.
a list of questions, they could say, this is question 1.
Right,
But that way they're not going to show up all in the same question. So if I do 1, 6, 5, 9, 4, and you do 2, 8, 7, they're
right.
going to be all over the place under my questions. Right? I'm going to be
Right.
creating different answers for every box.
I wonder. I'm trying to think of how we could make that work.
It doesn't sound like it will. It's okay.
Well, you could do a bunch of manual grading and then like send it to Gradebook. That makes sense,
No, that's what I do. I just do it in quizzes. And I
right?
don't associate the quiz with the gradebook item, and then I have an exam 1, and I just put their grade there and say, see feedback under quizzes.
Right.
That's fine. It's just a question. All right. No
Right.
on that.
But yeah, do you put them all separately? Like question 1, question 2, question
Yeah.
3?
So that way when I'm grading it, I'm grading
You
everyone
can
who
see
did
all
1,
of them.
everyone who did 2, everyone, which is easier to grade than,
Yeah.
oh, this was number 5. Oh, that was number 2,
Right. Yeah, I think you've come up with the most elegant answer.
Okay.
Heather, did you have something else you wanted to add to their questions?
I was just going to show this is where you do the importing. So it's site info, import from site. I usually say merge just in case, but I guess if you have nothing in it, you could just say replace your data.
The
And then
reason,
you,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the only time you want to hit replace is if you need all the gradebook stuff to come over. Right? Merge your data, we'll just get like the other things, but if you want all of the gradebook particulars, say replace my data
Okay.
and only do it at the very first start, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Then you have to do, when you create the little items, you have to do associate with the existing names.
Yeah.
And then you just select whatever site you want to get it from, and then select those tools.